Katie Sidowski, absent. Lucy Noel Dilbert,
Present.
Rob Now,
Present?
Genevieve Brodzik,
Here.
Craig Sims.
Here.
Chris Stillman is absent, and Rachel is present.
Okay, so a motion to open public hearing on temporary batch plant Mullins New Haven LLC, parcel number 2606333010002, special land.
At 7:04, so moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Note that nobody is present for public hearing in regards to this. And motion to close public hearing at 7:04.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Sorry, John.
Just for the record, was there any request for a continuance or postponement of this hearing or anything from the applicant?
Not that we've been made aware of, and I got no emails from Becky.
I don't know of any communications with the applicant.
Do you want me to contact Becky, just to make sure?
I was just for that in the record, just to see if that was requested. Yeah.
Okay, so did that motion go through?
Yeah.
Approval of the agenda.
One change,
Yep.
number 5, and B for the public hearing minutes. Discussion and action, yes. That's it for me.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comments on the agenda. Approval of the minutes. So meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes dated December 5th, 2020.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Any opposed, or all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing minutes dated December 5th, 2023. Motion.
Approve as, motion to approve as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Communications, correspondence, and workshop. Anybody good? New business. On our new business is the temporary batch plant, Mullins New Haven LLC, parcel number 2606333010002, special land use discussion and action. Everybody received planning and engineering feedback. We have not received fire feedback, as it has not been received yet from the department.
So I know last month we had like no site plan. This month we have this like aerial view. Is this like their whole site plan?
Just one page.
Okay.
And it shows in general, like kind of circulation design, where things might be cited, like a very basic kind of plan, with some notations on it. They submitted an original one, and there's a revised version.
Yeah, I think this was the revised.
Yeah.
So this plan doesn't show any type of buffering or protection or fencing or anything from on the plan, right, Ben? Because they don't want to do that?
It strictly just calls out a 50-foot setback as like a buffer, but there are no treatments in terms of landscaping or berms or any proposed alternative for that. It just says that they're going to maintain a 50-foot buffer setback.
Down recommendation on 6, or his rundown on 6 says that they're requesting a landscape screening variance.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, if you look at the bottom right of the submitted plan, there's a list of different waivers and variances that they are requesting for there. If you want, I can go through kind of my review on it, and we can kind of go and address these things one by one.
Sure.
I have one on any kind of buffering. I have a great deal of concern. I I don't really think we should give any kind of variances. If they want to do it, then they should do it for the ordinance. But along the railroad track, if you're piling this stuff up, I mean, chance of that rolling into the railway, and, I mean, it doesn't need to be much to take a car off of it. Off the tracks, so that really sounds kind of funky that they, hell, I wouldn't want it, because I'd sue them if I, but,
Yeah, oftentimes like buffering is for items like that. It's also for sightliness and aesthetics, but it's also sometimes for dust control mitigation too. As people have used in the past, they've used pine trees to help, let's say, minimize the amount of like snow blast going across roads and stuff. Same idea kind of goes with like buffer strips with high dust type operations, is that can kind of help minimize how much is kind of being blown off the site. As well as all their other dust mitigation plans they have, like whether it's like wetting the dirt and other different treatments that they can do.
so looks like it's all grass right now, currently. So I thought I read something about them they would leave it aggregate all of that space. And, but then I read somewhere else about returning it to its original. So they're looking just to leave the aggregate, spread it out and be done, not return it to its original.
Yeah, and that'd be something where it'd be assessed by our village engineer in terms of what is going to be considered the original condition, and then setting whatever that baseline standard is, as well as what that monetary cost would be to bring it from what it was as it was developed, then back to that original condition, to set that performance bond as a safety for the village. So those things could be assessed by a village engineer.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, would you like me to
Sure.
go through it? Okay. So as you can see here, the parcel zone heavy industrial where the proposed batch plant is considered a special land use. The adjacent parcels are also zoned heavy industrial, just for some context on the existing area conditions there. The rail line runs along the parcel boundary. The access point to the parcel will be going through the adjacent parcel, which is an existing kind of recycling type facility, scrapping facility next door. Being that it is a special land use, the applicant is required to provide a number of different details, which I kind of outlined throughout this entire document. So the first thing is a description and justification for why the batch plant is needed. The ordinance requires some level of specificity of what public works project this batch plant will be servicing in order to justify its temporary nature. As well as are the materials produced at that site strictly used for those public works projects. In this site plan, the applicant states that the plants will be used for nearby awarded projects, and that the plant will be mainly used as a recycling facility for the raw materials being transported off-site. And that any byproducts are said to be processed and then transported to a landfill. With their explanation, I believe that we should be requesting them to provide greater specificity as to what projects this batch plant will be servicing, as we believe it's kind of vague, and we'd like to know exactly what they're servicing and what that duration is. And, they do kind of give like a 2-year timeline, but it'd be better to know if we know what exactly they're working on. So we would ask for greater clarification on that. Number 2, there needs to be a written report behind how this site will comply with local, county, state, and federal nuisance requirements. And that's specific to dust, groundwater treatment, noise, lighting, and hazardous materials. The applicant in the site plan states that We'll be using a dust suppression system, which is not uncommon to uses like this in other construction sites. And it's installed and set as a standard by the plant manufacturer. They already have an legal requirement permit that is already in existence for how to operate with that. I will defer to Cement on that permit and that dust mitigation plan. Further, they state the operation will have no impact on groundwater as the dust suppression system is using an off-site provider to do that. So once again, like I said, I defer to the village engineer on how that's going to be working and if that runoff would then impact groundwater or any type of stormwater situation. Number 3 says provide an anticipated and specific lifespan of the project. Also provide the required restoration plan for the site as it is a condition of special land use permit. With that, the applicant states that the anticipated lifespan and operation of the plant will be for 2 years. Following the end of its operation, they intend to leave the site surface of aggregate, as we discussed earlier. Upon completion of the projects of which the temporary batch plant is incidental to, we are requiring that it shall be removed and the site restored. It's also required under our ordinance to do so. If the projects exceed this 2-year temporary special land use permit, then our ordinance does state that the applicant and site operator must reapply for temporary special land use until the project is concluded. And there are enforcement mechanisms for that to make sure that that is upheld and that they do reapply for that permit if it needs to exceed that 2-year time frame. Number 4, the special land use requires that there is access to major thoroughfares and roads. The access point is off of 26 miles, so that is compliant. Number 5, all plant equipment shall be set back a minimum of 1,320 feet from any residential district and 250 feet from any property line. The site plan did not demonstrate any compliance with either of those standards. Looking at aerial maps and satellite imagery, we can pretty much roughly confirm that it is at least at 1,320 foot setback from the residential district, but we would like that to be shown on the map, just for verification. But they also are not compliant with the 250 foot setback from any property line. If you look at the site plan, it's the minimum 50 foot on one side, I believe on the western boundary. And there may be a greater setback on the eastern boundary, but in general, the site would need to be reworked to comply with that 250 foot setback. Let's see. According to the ordinance, temporary batch plants, regardless of the adjacent properties nearby, require an extensive 50-foot landform buffer, which that is a landform buffer with vegetation and planting there to kind of help mitigate with dust as well as noise and sightliness and kind of the screening aspect of the landscape. They do have alternatives if they wish not to do 50-foot landform buffer. We can do a wall with a green belt. There's other treatments that are also acceptable, but that would be deemed upon the planning commission's vote and review. Typically in heavy industrial districts, when we have heavy industrial parcels next to others, there isn't a screening requirement, but in our ordinance there's a specific call out with that. It's not the case for this type of use. So it is requiring that screening between those two like zoned properties. So as I said, the applicant shows that 50-foot buffer, but just as a setback and not as a landscape tree area. They are requesting a landscape screening variance from this. The zoning ordinance states that the planning commission may modify the screening requirements where, in unusual circumstances, no good purpose will be served by compliance with the standards. And that would be based on your consideration on the situation. And that would be a matter for discussion. Number 7, applicant must provide a performance guarantee that is reviewed and approved by village council. In this section, it requires that the temporary batch plant provide a performance guarantee for the special land use. This performance guarantee would be in accordance with section 515-205 of the ordinance and approved by village council, and the amount of the cost for the reclamation and restoration of the site to its original condition, as estimated by the village engineer. This is as we discussed earlier, but that is kind of your protection just in case it does go defunct. You can return that site back to what it was before. And then with regards to the community impact statements, that is something that we did it is required in this situation. We did some research and some digging. We reached out to the village as well in this matter. There is no history or record of accepting any community benefits or community impact statements in the past that we found. There are some examples of what other communities have done, but we don't really have any ordinance guidance on what that template would look like or what we would request on that matter. So we didn't offer any guidance on that. Further, we need to identify their dumpster location, and for parking, they're offering 4 total parking spaces on site for employees and a circulation drive for site operation. We asked they provide the number of on-site employees per shift and explain the number of spaces provided and how they're satisfactory to servicing the parking demand, as well as defer to public safety officers on the circulation for public safety vehicles on the site. So any questions on any of those items? There's a lot there, I apologize.
Well, is there an office or a bathroom or
It says in the site plan, portage on.
portage on, that's it?
Oh.
But you go across the road.
I mean, is it required that they provide a place for them to eat lunch or get out of the snow, or, I mean, how is that? But it's not per se even a construction site, it's, I mean, people are going there to work every day, right? Don't they have to have certain requirements, like, not ADA, but wouldn't they have to have?
That'd probably be a question for our building official in terms of the structures that have been constructed on the site. We more so look at site design, setbacks, operation, layout. In terms of what's required for, like, let's say, OSHA or employee safety and providing services, that'd be more so a building official.
Okay.
For that, yeah.
Like, I was expecting to see some kind of trailer or something there for them to take cover.
And that'd be an additional question that we might want to ask them if they do wish to represent themselves.
Were the neighbors all notified of this, since it's a temporary zoning, and how far? Because obviously they're affected.
Yeah, as it was a public hearing, then it would go through the public hearing process of the notifications and everything else.
Do we have a list of who we sent that to, as far as neighbors?
I can't connect to the internet, so I can't get any email.
I feel you, it took me till 2 o'clock today.
I don't feel like there probably would have been a great reach on this. It's mostly large industrial around there, so.
Yeah, I just didn't know, the one that I thought of more was the Basco Oil Company. Is this gonna cover all their vehicles with soot and dust, and then, you know, they gotta go out looking like crap when they go deliver their product? That was the thing that came, if it's causing a mess, I wouldn't think that it would, you know, the air would go the other way, but there's the garage door company over there, and I just, and I don't really know what's in the south to, you know, as far as their businesses.
And that's where, like, the dust mitigation program, that would have to be, like I said, assessed by by our village engineer, is it sufficient to minimize what that, blow off would be, as well as like the noise. Because looking at some of these, you have like an impact crusher, aggregate screener, loading ramp. I've seen these different operations happen, like it can be incredibly noisy. So it's making sure the decibel levels would be compliant as well for what the adjacent parcels are hearing off-site. So,
Speaking of that, it says on the site plan, they plan to work from 6 AM to 7 PM. I thought our noise ordinance was 7 AM to 7 PM.
Maybe?
I think it's 6 a.m.
I think it's 6 too.
Is it 6? I thought it was 7. When they were going through the whole changing over to different,
I thought it was 8, because like the garbage trucks are
Garbage
outside the
trucks.
subs, they
Yeah.
didn't
You
looked that up, right?
go in
That's,
there.
yeah,
the garbage trucks don't usually start till 7 AM. I don't think Lombardo could start until before 7 AM.
Lombardo, I'm almost positive was allowed to start at 6 a.m.
Yeah, that's.
Because that was the complaint.
Unless it's changed, they were allowed to start at 6 AM.
Garbage trucks are coming at like 7:30, so.
I do have one question while I was looking for that. Is an aggregate surface acceptable, or should there be concrete for this work?
That in terms of surface and, because that's going to definitely impact stormwater
Yeah.
and all that. That would be something where I'm curious to see what the village engineer recommends on that.
Okay.
Because that's typically his part of the review, is the surfaces and stormwater impact.
You have this review, right?
Is this right here?
That doesn't address any of that.
Yeah.
It is 6 a.m.
It's 6.
Yeah, it looks like it's, this is here.
If you weren't here, somebody couldn't be here tonight. Just, he has some stuff going on, so. He is available for call with us, being where we're at. We can call him or we can.
I just feel like we have so many unanswered questions and then we get all answered at the same time.
I also see the words trash on here a couple times. What does that mean? Like trash? Especially one that's so close to the railroad. Because when it says raw materials, what does raw materials mean? Is it only cement out of a road, or is it cement of taking down a warehouse building that could be full of asbestos, or what's raw materials coming back?
And that's part of the identification of what project this is servicing, and it's a question for greater clarification on that, because as far as we know, this is a batch plant, which is typically related to asphalt and concrete production, but we can't really look at full determination until we give the specifics that we're looking for.
And also, is the west branch of the Fish Creek, is that like a flowing water thing? Is that over where the north trash road I saw, which is part of the road?
Yeah.
Is that like a flowing water creek?
The creek drain situation is also a certain question. Sorry. In terms of, let's see, because of Cement review over here does state that they are looking for a pavement waiver or variance.
Yeah, I see them requesting it right here, paving. I was wondering more, is that even a variance that could be granted by Eagle EPA, kind of like, is that something, like, are we allowed to even?
I believe that's more so within our purview of that, yeah.
And then what about the back, I guess that would, you've already said, like, back to the creek too? Like any runoff?
Runoff, I'm guessing that's gonna definitely impact public works,
Yeah.
as well as our own kind of like drainage pipe, stormwater, and everything else. But public works typically has some type of on-site treatment, discharge, those kind of standards. that are required, because these all tie into county drains.
Does anybody else have any questions for John?
How big is that detention pond that you're creating? It's like,
I'm not sure what the size is.
that's probably a cement thing, make sure it's big enough for the lot size.
Yeah, 'cause that's calculated based on lot size, disturbed area, and like, there's like a rainfall projection that then calculates to what the protection pond size requirement is. But I don't believe he noted that as an area of concern.
And then the number 7, the performance guarantee approved by the village council, is that like the amount estimated by the village engineer? Is that something that they put in an escrow account, or is that just a signed statement saying that they'll cover it?
I believe it's a performance bond of some sort. And that'd be whatever the typical performance metric is that's done through the village, but I believe it's through a bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a process for that? Because in the past, that has come up as problems with, bonds actually being done and taken care of and actually secured.
I believe we've had a couple of them go through. Like our Main Street paving.
So there is a recent process to make sure those things are secured.
I don't know what process is that was involved.
Yeah, like Main Street responded.
I just remember in the past for the rec, they did this several times that no one actually did it.
I'm pretty sure if they're canceled, they send the village, the company that provides the bond.
Well, that's what I was saying. Some in the past weren't even, that they were never secured. The village never asked for proof. So there was never.
I wouldn't let them start until they,
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of looking down here at the clerk, that these things are in place to. I know we did a bunch of things for the building department as far as processes with, can't think of your guy's name. Jeff, to give the department, processes. I don't remember covering that particular as far as bonds, if that was one of the things that we gave them, that gave them a checklist so that they could do their job. They, they didn't know everything they needed to know.
I don't believe the development guidelines went over like a bond process or anything like that. It kind of goes beyond a little bit of the planning and stuff. That might be like the village attorney might have more guidelines on what the bond process would be like.
Just something we need to make sure we got in place. Because obviously, the building department can't check off a box if they don't have a box to check off. It's going to be sure what they have.
Right.
pretty standard. We don't have one for the builders now.
As far as like how the numbers,
A bond?
yeah, I don't know how those numbers are. It's not, like it's always been a council thing and not really us to determine what numbers should be. Alrighty, any more questions for John? Okay, so, to note for the record that Mullins New Haven LLC was not present for the public hearing for the subject as new business, or their subject, whatever. I'll make a motion to table.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Can we amend that to add it to table to the February meeting?
Sure.
For them to actually tell us something, or let's get rid of it, because
Yeah,
It feels weird to me that they're a no-show.
it makes me, yeah. So, but they did, you know, yeah, I don't know what kind of communication I just had with them. Okay. Are you, everybody good with the February change on the, who was the second on? I was the first, who was the second?
Correct.
You good with that?
Okay.
Old business, we have non-planners report.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Public comments. Call from the table. A motion to adjourn at 7:34.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.